Hello everyone, welcome to another Narc Survivor Live video. In this one, the topic is the number one thing that hurts the narcissist. It may seem that there are many different things that hurt them, but it actually only comes back to one thing. And the one thing that hurts the narcissist is rejection. That is one thing that they cannot deal with. And I know for anyone, rejection can be painful. It's not something that people typically want. But for a narcissist, it is 100 times worse. And the reason why it is so bad for them is because they have this false self. They have this fake identity, this false character. And they are trying to uphold this through the illusion where they get everyone else to prop it up and to validate this illusion so that it can seem more real and more believable to them. And for this reason, the number one thing that hurts them is rejection. They do not like it when you or anyone else rejects them. And it's not always just rejecting the character that they display. It's also rejecting their proposals or ideas, because they're very insecure about all of these things. They don't really believe in the things that they say. They may come across as very arrogant, as though they think that they're very special and important. And they have this strong sense of entitlement. All of this is just to compensate for how weak and fragile they feel inside. That is why they're so controlling. It's why they have to manage other people's perceptions of them, so that it reflects back to them that they are this false character that they display to the world, when all of these things, it isn't even real. And you probably know this already if you've been with them long enough. You've seen what they're like behind the scenes. You've seen how they're very toxic and dysfunctional. They're abusive. And yet when they go out into the world, they portray this false image of them being very kind, generous, and helpful, as though they only want the best for other people. And not only that, but they only want the best for you. Meanwhile, you're dealing with all of this abuse when you're at home with them, or wherever else you may be. But in public, they present this illusion, this false character, and it's something that they never actually live up to. But they can portray the illusion for a short period of time, depending on who they're around. But because they spend most of their time around you, it is very difficult for them to do that. But this is it. This is the number one thing that hurts them. It may seem like it's so many different things, but it all comes back to rejection. They're very sensitive to rejection. The last thing they want is for you to pull away or to stop believing in the illusion or in their false character, because they're very insecure about it. They already know that what they're presenting to you is not real. And that is why they do everything they can to protect it, to defend it. Because when you look at it, it's really the only thing that they've got, the only thing that they have ever worked on. There's this false character, this illusion. And even then, it wasn't anything real. They weren't really building an authentic character. Instead, what they were doing is focusing on how they could manipulate and deceive the people around them, which deep down it has no value, and they know it. It's not worth anything. Which is why even when you get around them, you spend enough time with them and your life just begins to fall apart. It doesn't amount to anything despite all of their lies and future faking. It doesn't result in anything good, because it was all a facade. It was all a game, a lie to trick and secure you as their supply. That's all that it was. And that is why they are very sensitive to rejection. They are so sensitive to rejection and so protective and defensive over their false character that when you are around them, you end up walking on eggshells. It's like you just become terrified to even be your authentic self. You begin to lose touch with who you actually are, just to make them feel more comfortable with their false character and the illusion. Because in order for them to sustain it, anything real must be kept down. And of course, they do not value anything real. So it's nothing for them to do that. It's nothing for them to abuse and punish you, because they look at it like it's real. So what if it is real? What good is that for me if I'm not real? That's just how they think. And you will notice and you will see that they seem to be drawn to other fake, superficial people. That's who they like to spend their time around. But most often these people tend to be acquaintances. And they're both just feeding this illusion, this fantasy back to each other. But they also tend to go wherever they feel they won't be rejected. Wherever they think that people will accept them. I've seen it in my own experience. If someone isn't willing to validate the illusion, they will just completely ignore them. They won't want anything to do with them. Because that is no good to them. If it's not going to prop up and uphold this character, it doesn't serve them in any way. Because remember, all they care about is narcissistic supply. They do not care about anything else. They do not care about anything real. All they care about is manipulating people and bringing them under their control. So yeah, this is it. The number one thing, and I would say the only thing, that hurts the narcissist, it is rejection. Which is why you may notice that they do everything they possibly can to avoid being rejected. I mean, just look at all of the tactics they used with you. They lied to you, they manipulated you, they future faked, they deceived you, they gaslit you. All of these things to trap you in this make-believe world where they are so much more and so much different to what they actually are. The problem is that they could never sustain it. They could never sustain the illusion. Because of course it needs someone to believe in it. They can't power it on their own. But you will also find yourself walking on eggshells as well. But it's different for you because you never have any space. They're constantly over your shoulder, suffocating you, giving you constant invalidation to the point where by the end of it, you don't even know who you are. You begin to lose touch with yourself. Because for them to sustain their false identity, it comes with all of this indoctrination, getting you to believe certain things about them so that it makes it more believable for them. And then they can feel powerful and important. Even if it isn't real, they don't really care. You may think that they do care, but you have to remember that narcissists have very different needs to normal people. You may have desired a connection, a relationship, but for them, what they desire is just the ability to manipulate their target. Other than that, they don't really care. Because this is what they've been doing their entire life. Their entire life they have been manipulating and abusing people, keeping them down so that they can prop up their false character. That's just how they get by. It's how they survive emotionally in this world. Because in the real world, where it's survival of the fittest, they wouldn't stand a chance. Once you take away their tactics, all of the tricks in their toolbox, strip all of that away from them, and it's just a very weak, fragile person. It's like the man behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz. That's all that it is. It's just this puppet master who's pulling the strings because they're too weak to just deal with life as it is. And that is the reason why this number one thing that hurts them is rejection. They can't stand it. And they will do anything they possibly can to avoid being rejected and feeling humiliated. Everything they can. It's why they devalue you. It's why they ghost you. It's why they discard you. Because they're very fragile. They're very insecure. But you are so much better than that. You are so much better than someone who has to use manipulation to get by. A fake person. Because you are real. And you deserve something real. But this is it. This is the number one thing that hurts them. It is rejection. I'm just going to finish my walk around the park. But I'd like to thank you all for joining me on another Narc Survivor Live video. And if this video was helpful to you, you can give it a thumbs up down below. It helps to support our community. Let me know your thoughts in the comments as well. Share and subscribe. And I will, as always, talk to you in another video very soon.